The most historic town hall meeting has happened here in Otter Creek, but there's so many questions left unanswered until now.
So,
I've got all your questions right here on my phone, and I'm going to do the best of my ability to answer them. For example, why hasn't anyone at this meeting taken on the Meeks for his refusal of help in the transition of the new council? Looking back at town hall council meeting, everybody's going, we all know Russ didn't hand over any of the account information to get into the banks, didn't hand over passwords. He did hand over keys, but he was non-existent in regards to responding to emails from the new mayor or from the town lawyer. Phone calls? Nope, didn't answer any of those either. Now, the person particularly who wants to know, which is Mandy Pat 1707. Why? Because our new mayor, Madame Therese, is much better of a person than I am. She's kept this professional on all levels. Our assistant mayor, Zim, has also kept it professional on all levels. Now me, I'm just a member of the community. I can keep it professional when professional needs to be kept. There's an absolute time for professionalism. When you're the mayor, the vice mayor, in a town council meeting, that's the place. They went the high road. That's not the road I'm on right now. I'm on the battle road. They want to start a war, and then they want peace when they figure out they can't win the war. And I'm talking about, who am I not talking about in Otter Creek who has started junk with me and crap with me, right? But here's the beauty of it. They did. They went the high road. They kept it as civil as possible. They could have said, hey, you didn't do these things for us. And at one point, the mayor did say, you got us in this mess. But they didn't need to rehash all the history that got them there. There's plenty of people who have actually recorded that. That's documented history as it is already. They're looking forward. They're not looking back. Particularly the mayor and the vice mayor want to keep moving Otter Creek in the positive forward direction and calling him out on all of his garbage, which he's already been called out on, and everybody knows not going to help move that thing in a positive direction. It was just going to start another fight.
Edwin Leach 4013 wants to know, how can an audit be accomplished when all the records are missing? Well, here's the deal. Because they have so much income because of the grants, they legally now have to perform audits, okay? And as such, they have to get an outside accounting firm to do that. So that is an aspect of accountability in accounting. You have to have an outside person come in because the inside person could cheat the audit, lie in the audit, and even then, an inside person can easily trick and fool the audit. I've already shared the results from the 2021 audit, and you see that all the information wasn't given from Mary, particularly. There's missing information. And their response basically in the audit, in writing, was this. This is saying, these are the negative things that we have that you need to correct immediately. Financial statement preparation. Well, there's a couple different things. Number one, this is page 44. By the way, you can get this audit report. You can get this online. Mm-hmm. Anybody can get this. Public information. Chapter 119, Florida statutes. So this is internal control over financial reporting and financial statement preparation. And what the CPA firm says is there is a significant deficiency or a combination of deficiencies in internal control. And basically, in a nutshell, management's response is this. So the firm is saying, you got a problem. All right, George, I can't read upside down or upside right. Can you? Mm-hmm. We agree. Management's response. This is Russell Meeks and this is Mary DeGroot. We agree because I promise you the council has no idea about this response. The council has no idea. Which, why are we voting in people that actually aren't doing the job that you vote them in for? Nobody knows about this response except for Russell and maybe Mary. Maybe it's just Mary and Russell. Well, the accounting firm knows, but now you all know as well. Here's their response. We agree with your findings. We're a very small government. Finances should be continued to be closely monitored during subsequent years to ensure that these
that these objectives continue to be met. Failure to maintain these corrections could cause the town in the future to meet statutory conditions that could result in financial emergency. Looking at risk as well. So insurance against losses are what's one of the biggest what's one of the biggest areas of risk that Town Hall in Otter Creek has?
Dishonesty.
Oh my goodness. You think there might be some dishonesty in Otter Creek as they're stealing? Listen, if you're from Otter Creek and you're watching this, they're not only stealing from me. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure out they're stealing from you. The audit can still be done. It's just not a complete audit with all the information or with all the history that a typical audit would be done with. That could bring some negative ramifications or consequences when you're looking at federal funding, state funding, county funding, when you're looking at grants. All of those things could be impacted by the lack of a complete financial fiscal audit. But it's Otter Creek. Would you expect anything else but the oddest?
Flower of Scotland, 1797 says, how ironic would it be if Russell's only bit of entertainment behind bars is a book from down the hall? I had thought the same thing. That would be hilarious. I'm a lover of comedy and funny and humor. And to see Russ behind bars, which is my end-all goal. I don't get to make the decision. Judges will make the decision. But that is my end-all goal. And then to be able to just picture him in a cot and all of a sudden opening a book and in it stamped from the library of Otter Creek. Yes! Yes, please. Please. Can we make this into a movie? Can we sell this to Netflix? Somebody's got to be interested in this crazy story. User SS4BY91M1U wants... Get a real name. But wants to know, did they ever find out who was watching the baby while she was at the meeting? Okay, this is a question in regards to Lynette and the baby, okay? So Lynette loves to use the child to solicit inappropriately and frankly grossly funds for herself. And she says that the child has a life-threatening metabolic disease, that the child, she moved to Otter Creek so the child was around nobody. That's all a lie. She moved to Otter Creek because she was stalking us in hopes of getting money, because she's watched What the Hales and was a fan of What the Hales and saw us giving money away. We had no desire to give her any money. From the very first moment you meet her, you can find out she is insane. Very first words that come out of her mouth, I hate my husband, I want him to die. Okay? So anybody gives money to that person, you're just in the same boat of insanity as she is. So do we know who was watching the baby while Lynette was at the actual town hall meeting? Not 6 feet apart from anybody, all shoved together, and not wearing a mask because unfortunately the baby destroyed it. Oh, you're really concerned about a life-threatening disease of your child when you didn't go buy another mask. What's more important, your child's life, because you say it's a life-threatening disease, or being at a town hall meeting? I'm going to say a child. You're a pathological liar with diabetes. We don't know who was watching the child. So we have a guess, probably John Crook, septic boy, and she states that he's abusive and an alcoholic and was selling his drugs. Okay, so that's a major issue. Now, she also has stated publicly that her friend, who she says I invited down, which I never invited down, they had planned this well in advance. Her friend, who is a drug addict and had her drug addict boyfriend on her property in a stolen camper, shooting guns on a small piece of property with houses all around, front, side, back, all over. Yeah, that's probably, it was either John Crook or Jamster. And she wonders why people call CPS. Here's the funny thing. She wants to be YouTube famous now. If she thinks people are calling CPS now, wait until they see her online. Except they won't, because YouTube actually works on an algorithm, and you have to have good content, and you have to actually understand and have a brain and know what you're doing. But hopefully it goes off, and hopefully everybody calls CPS, and Florida CPS can no longer ignore this situation. They need to save the child. Same user, different question. How is waste, burn piles, open trash in yards, turtles, etc. for a baby with medical problems?
That's a great question. We'd like to know that as well, especially since it's life-threatening. So let's clear something up, first of all. Number one, the child's ailments are not life-threatening. They're completely and totally manageable. But she is living in constant filth. Literally like living in a toilet, right? There's garbage everywhere. There's uncleanliness everywhere. There's hazards literally everywhere. Turtles carry more salmonella than any other reptile, and she's surrounded by turtles. Bird poop. Birds carry different diseases, and yet this baby who's supposed to have a life-threatening disease is all around all of this. But what is she concerned about? She being Lynette and John Crook. She's concerned about using the child to raise money and posting that George stated that she should throw her baby away in the garbage. Listen, her baby was already living in garbage. George never stated that. George said, you can't handle this. You need to make some life changes. And I've gotten sick and tired of her whining and crying every time she needs help with something. And she gives nothing back to anybody except, I hate my husband. He's an alcoholic. I want him to die. You need to help me clean my property. Nobody needs to help you do anything. You created the mess. You clean the mess. I'm not your solution. You're your solution. Winterset B 6758 wants to know, when will the police show up and start arresting people? All right, we've got to explain the court system, okay? You have criminal courts and you have civil courts, all right? And so criminal acts such as somebody stole something from your property. You have somebody battering somebody. You know, that's a criminal act. But then there's civil issues. And everything that has happened in town hall, minus Mary battering me, thus far is falling under a civil issue. And therefore, what's going to happen, or is in the process of happening, and it takes quite a bit of time, unfortunately. All the evidence is gathered up, all the evidence is investigated, then charges are, you get a charge. Like Mary got charged for battery. Charges are brought forth against the individual or individuals in this case, and then it's tried. It goes to court. And then at the end of court, you're guilty, you're not guilty. That's when the police end up being a part of it. Cuff them, take them, boom, off to jail. So I understand you're watching all of this in town hall and you're going, oh my goodness, Mary stole. Yes, she did. There's no doubt about that. Mary did this. Russell did that. Laura Mott did this. Russell did that. Laura and Mary did this. Mary did some more. I understand you're seeing all that and you're like, why aren't the police there? Why aren't the police there? Well, the police were there quite a bit, for opening mail. For these other issues, these civil issues, it's going to take a time process to get to the point where boom, boom, behind bars.
DLH with a whole bunch of numbers wants to know, so the town really has no other choice but to unincorporate? Well, the town has multiple choices, but whenever you're looking at these choices, you have to look at the math, okay? Now, I know I really specialize in humor on the channel, making people laugh, but the reality is I'm a businessman, and I'm pretty good at math, even though I joke about not being a mathlete and being able to do math at all. So business is what I excel at. If you want to know what are the options, you have to do the math. And when you're looking at a town of 100 and all of the services that have to be provided legally, how can the people of a town of 100, and I don't say this to be derogatory, I say this to be real. When these people, the average income is just over $12,000 in Otter Creek, because, as you can figure, it's based off of government assistance. How in the world is a town of 100 living off of government assistance going to end up being taxed enough to be able to pay for all the legal things that they have to provide the town's people? And the reality is this, the math doesn't add up. So
There's potential ways that they can generate enough income to do the things they legally have to do. But what do I think is the right thing to do? Well, there are some that don't want to unincorporate. And typically that's because they want control of decisions. I could care less about control. Control means nothing to me. Peace, happiness, laughter, humor, that means something to me. The other things mean nothing. And so for the town, by all means, I think the smartest thing in the world to do is to unincorporate. They cannot afford not to in many ways, in my opinion. And let's do a little math over here. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. So we did have, here's some math. We had 10 eggs earlier. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Which means there's been a snake in the duck pond. There's definitely been a snake in the duck pond. But you've seen that already because there's been snakes in town hall too, right? Taking the money, using the money for what it's not intended for. So the town could potentially not unincorporate, make their own decisions, but really you have to think through this as well. You've seen some of the individuals in the town, okay? You've seen those who have put in positions where there's power, authority, and I know you're thinking the same thing I am. It's a town of 100. There's no power and authority there. I agree 100%. But in their mind, there's power and authority. Where are you going to find competent people to actually keep it up? Okay? So right now we have an extremely competent and great mayor. She's not going to want to do that the rest of her life. Then you're going to give it back over, and who's going to try and get it again? Russ The Suss, Don the Con. They won't let go of that grass, right? So all you work for is now gone again. It's not worth it. Do the math. It's not worth it. The best decision for the town, hands down, is to unincorporate. But you also have to get the town to actually vote on that. GP6QC5RX1X. Come on, man, get a name! Said, can Therese run for the United States president? She's far better than the past or current one. She's got her hands so filled with the mess in Otter Creek. I don't think she's ever going to be thinking about running for anything again. Maybe running away from Otter Creek, but don't worry. She'll come back. She's one that actually takes care of business. Yeah, it'd be great to have her in the Oval Office. Don't think that's ever going to happen, though. Sandra Cox, 4341, wants to know, was Mary purposely doing these things, or did she just have no idea what she was doing? Well, here's the thing, Sandra. Once you see the emails, the 6,000 emails, the 6,000 incriminating emails that have been referred to already by our Madam Mayor, I think you're going to find out real quick how intentional Mary was in doing all these things. There's no doubt whatsoever Mary tried to play the game of victimese. We see that all the time with Lynette, right? I'm a victim. You're bullying me. You're bullying me. I'm the victim here. Well, they know the words to say. The current culture has taught them the words to say. And Mary was the exact same way. You're picking on an old elderly lady. No, an old elderly lady was doing illegal things against me and the town. Very intentional. And so you will see those 6,000 emails. That is part of my information request. And I will show that to you once I receive all of that. Now, because it's time sensitive based on they get so much time to actually give that to me, we may be waiting a little bit. Remember, we talked about criminal versus civil. This is a civil suit. Takes more time and we have to wait. So those emails are coming. You're going to be able to determine, was Mary really intentional in what she was doing? And I'm going to tell you already, the answer is 100%, absolutely, unequivocally, yes, very intentional. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she did it anyway. And I told them over and over again, do the right thing.
James McKay, 4642. Why does the new lady, Madam Mayor, not ask Russ the Suss about the banking account in the open meeting in front of everybody? Now, we kind of touched base on this already. She's taken the high road, but let's really unpack this, okay? So for well over a month, she's heard nothing, right, from Russ the Suss. And, well, honestly, it's almost been 2 months now. And so she's got no information whatsoever. So what she's had to do is go into the bank and say, I need access to these accounts. Russell was supposed to sign them over, which he never returned phone calls, never returned emails to anybody. And they went, listen, we can't get a hold of him. He will not do this. We all know he did it on purpose. You know it. I know it. The mayor knows it. The new mayor knows it. So they had to come up with an alternate route, right? So what they did is they drafted a letter, and then they had all of the council members that actually showed up to the town hall meeting sign it, and then it had to be officially accepted and adopted into the meeting minutes, and then the bank would accept that and sign over the accounts. So that's happened now. Russell is not on the accounts. He can't sign. He can't get access to them anymore. Mary is now officially off of them, even though she was illegally logging into them and ordering herself a debit card. Man, okay. Who do you think's going to jail first? Do you think it's going to be Russell, Don, Mary, Laura? Who do you think's going to jail first? So what the mayor has done, again, is tried to unify the residents. It's a small town. Everybody knows each other, and what you will find out is everybody's related. Except me and George, right? Or Madam Mayor Therese, even though she's a Florida born and raised, but she's not from the immediate area of Otter Creek, so she's not related to any of them. But they're all related somehow, some way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Family and a good, strong network of family is a great thing. But she doesn't need to throw him under the bus. He's done it himself. As a matter of fact, I mean, why would she need to throw him under the bus? Don't you think I'm doing an okay job of it? I think I'm doing that. I'm taking care of that. So she can focus on things that actually matter with moving forward. I'll take care of calling him out with the world, not just the people there. The world is watching. Want proof of it? All right, here's one from Lauren C. Brickett, 6330. There's an old saying in the UK, you'll never see a plumber in bankruptcy court. Plumbers are the richest of all construction trades. How does Russ the Suss, the plumber, get foreclosed on twice? All right, it's really easy, okay? You either have the ability to manage money or you don't. That's it. And unfortunately, there's those two types of people. Now, we could break up types in all kinds of different ways, but with money, you either know how to manage it or you don't. You're either paying your bills, saving money, and investing, or you're living paycheck to paycheck. 95% of the world is living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I understand over in the UK, you may be looking at America, and I've been all over the United States and all over the world, and a lot of times people are looking at the United States like, you're so rich. And the reality is, yes, we have much, but what do you do with what you have? I can have $30,000 and live like a king versus somebody else who can have $30,000 and beg and say, I don't have enough, you need to give to me. Remind you of anybody across the street from me? It's all what you do with it. So I can take $30,000. Well, let me back up. I can take $10,000 and I could turn that $10,000 into $100,000 because I know how to manage money and I know how to invest my money and I know how to make my money make more money. Now, a fool such as Russ the Suss, and that's what he is. He's an incompetent, ignorant fool. He has no concept whatsoever how to manage his own money, let alone the town people's money, let alone grant money from the federal government. I would not trust this man with a penny. And so I'm not okay with me paying bills and him being in charge of that money. Or Mary. The Mary could not do math. I've proven it over and over again. She could not do basic comprehensive adding and subtracting. She couldn't do it. Could not do it. Wouldn't even use the calculator that somebody gifted her. So how does somebody be a plumber and be bankrupt and foreclose multiple times? Now, there are going to be some people out there and go, oh no, it was the housing crash. That's funny because I went through the same housing crash. Guess what? I didn't go bankrupt. As a matter of fact, I made more money. There's people out there going to go, oh no, it was COVID. Guess what? I went through COVID. I did not go bankrupt. I actually made more money. In all of these down areas, I was able to make more money. Now you're going to have people that go, Jeremy, no, because you have money. It's the rich get richer. No, it's not. In 2014, I went through a horrific divorce. I lost everything. Now, when I say I lost everything, I gave it all to my ex-wife, and I said, fine, I will rebuild. There's literally garbage picking on the side of the road for heat in a fireplace to keep warm in the winter in the north. I rebuilt myself from nothing. Zero. And so can you, no matter what the circumstances are. And so could have Russ The Suss. Except he ain't got it. He ain't got it what's inside of me or what's inside many of you. But I know you do.
J. Simmons 7023 says, did I miss something? What about the 6,000 plus emails that was received and sent and was incriminating Mary, Russell, and Laura Mott in more corruption?
No, you didn't miss anything. It's just not time yet. Everything is about timing. So those emails are in the possession of the actual council members. Remember, we were told in the meeting that anybody was welcome to all those workshops. And guess who showed up? The mayor, the vice mayor, and nobody else. Not even me. Regardless of whether I was up north or down south, I wasn't there for those workshops as things were being uncovered and discussed. And those things have now been turned over to the attorney, the state attorney. So it's a timing issue now. If it's under investigation, you don't want to release those things. So if it's all turned in to the state attorney, we have to wait. You have to wait. I have to wait, even though those emails are part of my records request, right? Because those emails are going to be talking about me. I've actually shared in another video where one of those emails talks about me as I was targeted specifically. You will see that email in its wholeness, all of it, between Mary, jail's going to be scary, and oh my goodness, this lawyer, attorney worm, he's a worm, all right. And you're going to see targeting. They targeted me. I'm the only person in Otter Creek, despite any size of any meter or any water line. I'm the only person in Otter Creek that paid anything different than anybody else. We're gonna get there. You didn't miss it. You're gonna see it. David Potter 733 wants to know, Jeremy, is the council bonded? The finance and secretary's position should be bonded. Okay, David, I agree with you 100%. Absolutely. And in normal circumstances, these council members would be bonded, right? But have you seen anything normal about Otter Creek? It's not called Otter Creek for no reason at all. I mean, if it wasn't Otter Creek, it would be called Normal Creek. But it's not Normal Creek. So to my knowledge, no, I don't even think Mary was bonded, to be honest. And Lord knows Angela wasn't bonded. Norma wasn't bonded, which are the two other assistant clerks that were hired illegally by Russell and the council. The council approved it. So illegally by the entire council, they should all be held liable, right? And they're going to go, well, Russell made us do it. Russell told us it was okay. Doesn't matter if Russell told you or not. Your job is to know it's okay, which is why they need to be bonded. Now, some of you right now are going, all right, what is bonded? Go ahead. You can Google that later. Figure it all out for yourself. I'm not going to dig into all of that right now. But to my knowledge, I don't think any of them are. And to be honest, I'm not sure any of them could even afford it, the extra money that would take out of their pocket to be bonded. I mean, could you honestly, seriously look at Don and go, that's a man that even understands bonding? He couldn't even comprehend what a resume is versus an application. Now you're going to explain to him what personal bonding is for him because of liabilities that he is placing the town in and himself in? No, he thinks that he can do anything because this is his town and he runs on council and this is the way it's always been done. And I look forward to being educated on the ways of the past. As he's high as a kite. You literally can watch when the, whatever he took kicks in and all of a sudden he's not arguing anymore. All of a sudden he's
Oh, yeah.
He ain't not gonna understand bonding at all. I don't think any of them are bonded. Now, I do think that the new incoming clerk will be somebody that has to be able to be bonded. That's part of the job description.
Alan Ward, 64AW, wants to know, does Russ have head lice? That's a great question. All right, so let's break this down a little bit. Russ was scratching his head throughout the entire meeting, over 2 hours. So, does he have head lice? There's a good chance of that because, number one, he lives in a dump. I'm not joking. This is a man who actually has fought over the years to maintain his dump to not have to clean it up. We're not talking somebody who is active about health services. Do you know why people live as long as they do now? Because we have indoor plumbing. We actually create healthy places. That's life-changing stuff, just being clean. That's why it's so important that a little child across the street is in a clean environment and not in the filth. So, Russ the Suss, does he have lice? Yeah, there's a good chance of it. I will tell you as well, there are mosquitoes everywhere right now. And anybody in this area, they will tell you that's the worst they've ever seen it. Worst ever. And I've had them all over me. So, it could be he got mosquito bites all over his head. I don't have them on mine. He might have them on his. Or he has a nervous twitch. He knows he's in trouble. He is 100% absolutely in trouble. He is not getting out of this.
Gator Bayou 17. Do you think Russ is having a few regrets right now? Well, to be honest with you, no. No, I don't. Do I think he's scared? I think he's scared. I think his family is scared. I would love to hear the conversations between him and his wife and his son Rocky, who's a council. Not council member. What do they call them? You know, I don't even know what they call them. It's really not that important to me. It's the... You know what it is. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. That's what happens when you put a camera in your face. You can't remember things all of a sudden. You know when you're watching game shows and you're like, that's so easy. It's not easy when you have cameras, lights, and everything else in your face. But here's what I do think actually regrets it. Town of Otter Creek. I think the people who actually voted for Russell, I think they're now regretting it because they have nationwide attention. And this is a place where people just want to live daily life at the slow pace, hide in the woods, enjoy life at the slow pace. But now they have more people coming into their space than ever before. There's attention on everything, on Town Hall, on where Russ lives, on where Jeremy and George lives, on the post office, on the little corner store at Herschel's. And yeah, it's for sale. And yes, I called and asked the price. And no, they didn't give me one. Maybe because they knew it was me, maybe because they just don't have one yet. But that being said, the people of Otter Creek probably regret Russell ever being in that position, Mary ever being in that position, and all the corruption that's been uncovered. And in the very beginning, they probably regret them ever messing with me. Because let's be real, none of this would have happened if they would have just charged me what everybody else was being charged for water. That's it. Leave me alone. Let me be in the woods peacefully. Don't bother me. I'm not one to pick a fight, ever. Ever. But if you start one with me, I will end it. I have no problem ending it. As a matter of fact, I am the person who throughout high school who protected the other kids from the bullies. I don't like bullying. Now, some of you are going, well, what you're doing is bullying. No, what I'm doing is doing what needs to be done, calling people out on their garbage. And you go, well, we don't like it that you call names. Okay, Jesus Christ called the Pharisees and the Sadducees names. White-washed sepulchres, you snakes, you vipers, and we could go on and on and on. Well, you're supposed to be a Christian. Okay, well, go tell Christ he's not a Christian. By the way, it's named after him. You might have a little problem with that. That being said, I'm going to continue to fight the corruption. I'm going to continue to fight for a child across the street. I'm going to continue to fight for animals. I'm going to continue to fight for a town. Even if the town doesn't want me to fight for them, I'm going to continue to fight for them. I believe the people of Otter Creek regret Russell ever being in a position of power. There's multiple times where they voted him out. And this time, he's being booted out
if they went back to the election, do you think they would honestly, do you think he would be voted in again? I don't think there's any way in Hales. No way. I think they regret all of this because they want to live peacefully, just like you, just like me, and that time will come. That time's not now. Right now, it's uncover and investigate, and then hopefully jail.